Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about house share in the UK. I have received some questions because there are some places like where I come from where house share is not something that is common. So some people don't know what to do about it when they move to the UK. What are the advantages? What should you look out for before you even go into house share? So that's what we're going to be talking about in today's video.
I just wanna hold you. I just wanna look into your eyes and tell you that I want you. You know you make me feel so
For those who don't know, house share is a system where you live with people. You have your own bedroom and then you share the other facilities like the bathroom, the kitchen, the living room, the garden if you have one. And like I said, it's not common in some parts of the world, but in the UK and in a lot of other Western countries, it's very, very common for people to do that. So when I moved to the UK, like 4 years ago, oh my God, feels like such a long time. I did live in a shared accommodation, and then again when I moved to London for a few months, I lived in a shared accommodation. To me, it wasn't the best experience because I saw some things that I had never seen before. Everyone has their own way of living. Some clean up, some don't, things like that, and that's what happens when you live with people. Let's talk about what you should consider before you go into house share. Number one is your budget, because house share helps with cost sharing, so it's usually cheaper as compared to when you're living alone. But even if it's cheaper, you still need to know your budget, because you need to live in a place where you can afford if you're saving up for other stuff. So know your budget and try to look for a place that fits your budget. Number two is your commute to work. For me, that's very, very important. I always like to live near where I work because I am not a morning person and I don't want to be late for work all the time, okay? So consider that as well. Number three, are bills included in the rent? So when you're living in this shared accommodation, there are bills like council tax, electricity, water, maybe the TV subscription, internet, and all that. In a lot of places, it's included, and there are other places where they will tell you that they cater for the rent and council tax, and some of the others you have to pay separate. So you need to know so you can plan your budget to pay for the extra if they're not included in the rent. The other one is, how many people are you willing to share with? Okay, so I was so surprised when I moved here, and one of my friends was living in a place where they were like 20 people in one house. It was a very, very huge place, and everyone did have their own bedrooms, and then the kitchen was really big with like 4 or 5 ovens or cooking places, and it was just really weird to me. But you need to think about that if you're like me and you don't appreciate living with such huge numbers of people for the whole time. Not like you went traveled and rented a hostel and you're living with a group of people just for a number of days. This is for like a year or so, depending on how long you're gonna sign your contract for. So make sure you always ask, just to be sure. Then the other thing you can consider is whether it's going to be furnished or unfurnished. From my experience, or from what I've seen, a lot of the unfurnished places come cheaper than the furnished ones. But think about it, if you're just moving into the country, you don't even have money to buy like furniture and beds and mattresses and all that. So maybe a better option for you would be the already furnished place. It might be just a little bit expensive, but it saves you a whole lot of trouble going here and there looking for furniture. And then the other one is weekly cleaners. In the place I lived in just when I moved to London for a little while, we had a cleaner who used to come in every week. So they don't clean your room, they just clean the communal areas like the kitchen and the living room. They tidy the garden and do all that stuff. It's helpful because with people, it can be really difficult to assign chores and have everyone do what they're supposed to do at the right time. So sometimes a cleaner helps. So where do you find the flats? There are some common websites that you can find flats. Some people will choose to rent with friends, others will find someone on the internet and then go and rent the house together. I actually met someone who did that, and they're renting 2 of them and they seem to be fine with it, so you can do the same. Otherwise, you can use some of these websites that I'm going to talk about. And the number one, or the most common place to find a room or shared accommodation, is Spare Room. Spare Room, in my opinion, is the largest platform. And I just want to say one thing is that be very, very careful, because as much as it's the largest and you get a lot of options, there are people who are trying to scam you. So someone will tell you that I have this room, but I'm in Spain, so I'm not able to come and see you. If you send me a small deposit, I will tell you where to go and get the key. Just look out for the red flags and don't get scammed. Number 2 is Facebook groups. So if you know which area you're gonna be coming in, just go and check out some Facebook groups where people advertise for rooms if they have spare ones. Some have their own houses and they're just looking for someone to rent a room just to make some extra cash on the side to help them pay their mortgages or something like that. Number 3 are websites like Rightmove and Gumtree. You're gonna find advertisements for rooms there as well. Number 4 is word of mouth. You may be working with someone who has a friend who's trying to rent out a room, and you go and you maybe like the place. So word of mouth is good, and it's always good to ask around, ask your friends at work if they know of somewhere nice where you can rent a room for yourself. Number 5, this is for overseas nurses who are just coming into the UK. There are some hospitals, especially for the NHS, and I think some care homes as well, where they usually have some accommodation that they give to the staff that are coming into the country. So you will be knowing that your first months, maybe 6 months of you being in the UK, you will have this shared accommodation from your work, which is nice because then you'll have time to look for other options by the time your contract for that is coming to an end. Number 1, it is cheap, or cheaper than you living by yourself. This is because there is cost sharing, so you're gonna save something as compared to when you're living alone. Number 2 is you can make friends from the people that you are going to be living with, okay? And this helps, especially if you're new to the country, you just came here, you don't know anyone. So the people that you're gonna be living with are the ones who could make your first friends in the country, and that really does help for your transition into how things are done in the UK. Number 3, you can learn new things from your roommates or the people that you're sharing the house with. And number 4 is gonna be good for you extroverts out there who can't live alone and be in the house alone for a long time, so that way you will always have someone to talk with. Number 1, there is no privacy, or at least in my opinion, the privacy is not enough. So if you're an introvert like me, you want to have your space, you want to have your own place where you can, regroup, enjoy your privacy and your time to yourself. Some of us really enjoy our company by ourselves. So when you're in a house where there's constantly other people there, it's not really the best environment for us. If you're like me, then you're really not gonna like house share. Number 2 is hygiene, which is something I had a problem with, okay? I was raised in a country or in a culture where when you cook, you eat, you clean up after yourself, you mess up something, you go to the bathroom, you flush, okay? Because some people here don't know how to flush toilets, or they go to the toilet and they forget that they went to the toilet and they don't flush. This was what was really annoying me, where people will cook and eat and leave the dishes there for days, and they're coming to the kitchen every day and they can see that, but somehow in their mind, they can't process that they have to clean up. And then you have to be the one telling them every time. But even then, they still don't do it. I still don't understand, because it's like they don't process that they should be cleaning up. They don't realize there is a problem, and that is a problem in itself. So for me, hygiene was a really, really big thing, because I like my space and I like keeping it in my own way. I'm not like OCD, but basic hygiene, like basic human hygiene. That's what I'm talking about. So in some places, I've seen, I have some friends who do house share and they're really having a good time, because if you live with people where you can organize, you say this week you clean the kitchen or you clean the bathroom, you do this, and people end up cleaning, then that's fine. Everyone lives nicely and in peace. And when you come to the kitchen to cook, you can actually cook and not feel nauseated. So this is not an experience for everyone. Some of us have seen it. Some people just enjoy house sharing because somehow they end up with the right people. So I'm not trying to scare anyone, but expect that it may happen that you may come across people who are not so keen into cleaning. Number 4 is sleep schedule. So if you're coming in as a nurse, you're gonna be doing days and nights, and you will be living with people who may not be nurses, who are off during the weekend, and maybe you're doing nights, and then they've decided to start partying earlier in the day while you're still sleeping. I was lucky in that department because I can sleep anywhere. You can put me on the road, leave me there, and I will be sleeping the whole time. But there are people who are easily distracted by noise. They are not able to sleep. So just think about it when you're trying to get into house share, and try and find a place where you will be able to sleep properly during the day if you have that kind of issue. Some people have said that they've lived with people where things were disappearing. It could be some clothes, some shower gel, some food from the fridge. So I mean, it's common when you live with people, so that may also happen, and that's a disadvantage in itself. Please, please, please make sure you view the property before paying any deposit. Now we have a lot of technology where photos can be enhanced to look like anything, and you can see a room that looks really big and beautiful, but in real sense it's not like that. It would be a good idea if you try to do a video call, just so you can see exactly what's happening if you're maybe abroad and you're trying to search for rooms for when you come to the UK. Otherwise, come and view the rooms physically when you get to the UK, and in that way you're gonna see everything as it is. Beware of the scams like the one I talked about from Spare Room. Ensure your deposit is put through the tenancy deposit protection scheme, just so when you leave the place, you will be assured that you're gonna get your deposit. Check if your room has locks. Oh my God, just check, because apparently it's a very common thing in the UK where houses don't have, or rooms don't have locks. And it's not like it's a house where a family is living in. You're living in with strangers, so you need to make sure that you feel safe. Make sure to check and ask them if they can put a lock for you. And also on the outside, because when I leave, I want to lock it and make sure that the things I have will be safe, or at least I will feel that they are safe in the room. When you move into a house, into a room, make sure to take photos or videos, especially of places that you can see have cracks or, you know, not in the best condition. So when you move out and the landlord tries to say that you caused that damage, you have evidence to show them that this was like this when I moved in, so you should not charge me for it. I think that's all about shared accommodation. That's all I can think about for now. If you're already in the UK and living in a shared accommodation or have experience of that, feel free to share any tips, pros and cons, or just anything about shared accommodation in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching this far, and yeah, I'll be seeing you in my next video. Bye.